And we are recording again. Welcome back from 5 seconds ago, the We Are LA Tech Weekly show, where every Tuesday afternoon we interview LA startups. It's called the Meet LA Tech series, or Meet Tech LA series. We have so many hashtags, who knows what they are anymore. And today we have, now I always want to make sure I pronounce your name right, Ranjini, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yay! Okay, perfect. And we are going to be talking about the Silver Telegram and startup PR. And I know all you guys are vying to know, like, how do I get traction to my widget thing? And so that is exactly what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about really what I love is the passion behind why she started the Silver Telegram. So I really want to get into that. And anybody who has questions, feel free to chime in on the right-hand side. If you want to tweet out that we're talking, that's on the left. And if you are catching us post live chat, we still care about you. So we will be telling you what our contact information is so you can stay in touch. And we hope you enjoy the interview. So let's kick it off. Go ahead and tell us all about you and the Silver Telegram.
So the Silver Telegram's a boutique PR agency, really focused in startups. And we also work with crowdfunding projects. But kind of the reason why I kind of got into it is I worked for really big agencies, and we were servicing huge corporate accounts, and we really overlooked and passed by all the little guys because they just couldn't afford it. They didn't have the big money. Right. So I felt bad for them, and I kind of wanted to do something where we knew we made an impact. And so we started working with startups just by referral. I've been in the video game industry and tech industry for the past 15 years. So I had a lot of contacts, and I just started working with lots of different types of startups to really focus on getting them a lot of media traction or investor interest or consumer downloads, just depending on what they're looking for. So I took on that challenge, and it's really fun because we get to work with a lot of different size, anywhere from bootstrap to Series A to Series B type companies that are doing really cool, innovative things in the
awesome.
tech space.
And I see some of you have popped in and would like to join in live on the conversation with us. To start the process is go ahead and ask your questions on the right so we could stay organized. I promise you we want to get to your questions. So what has been the hardest thing in creating your own PR for it? And by the way, I love your background story where you really cared about the startup entrepreneur and you wanted them to have a chance to be able to have the legitimacy and experience of an established PR team. So what were some of the challenges in starting your own company?
Well, I mean, starting a company is a lot more difficult than I expected. I didn't really think about it a lot. When I started, I just started freelancing, and service-oriented businesses are a little bit different. You just do what you know best, and then later you get bogged down with HR and administration and bill collecting. I mean, all that stuff, that's a huge headache. I think that's been the biggest challenge, is really separating what I love to do from what I have to do, and making sure there's people there to do that other stuff.
Completely. And that's such a brilliant thing to acknowledge in building a company is what do I need to focus on so this company could be the best it can be, and what do I need to delegate to my teammates?
Well, and luckily there's a bunch of really cool startups that help you do stuff. So we use startups like Up Counsel for our lawyer, and I've used Zirtual got purchased, but I was using Zirtual for a while. Yeah. So I got to use a lot of cool other startups to use their tools to help support what I
use Fancy Hands, which is similar to Zirtual, sort of, but it's a virtual assistant service as well. I love it. I have it on my phone, on everything. Yeah. Okay, so tell us, what are some of the kind of insider information, if you will, of what to think about when really taking your PR strategy seriously as a startup?
I think people have to remember what their goal is. And that's the one thing I think people forget. They get caught up in getting into TechCrunch or getting into Mashable or getting into USA Today or New York Times. But really you have to figure out what do you want your purpose to be, and then find the publication that really fits and suits that purpose.
Right.
Because getting in the New York Times, I mean, we've gotten to the New York Times a few times, and it doesn't really drive as much traffic as you think it would. And we've been in Good Morning America. That drives almost zero traffic. It's just, it's funny that people would think one thing drives the traffic that they're looking for, but it really doesn't. It really depends on, what kind of goal you're looking for at the end of the day. So if you're looking for investors, like go for investment publications. If you're looking for consumer downloads, go for like, publications that do reviews of different apps and stuff like that. So
totally. And just a heads up, we do hear your friend in the back or your teammate in the background talking. So just a heads up on that. And you guys, if you have any questions on anything, I see Spencer joined us. Spencer's like one of my favorite nerd people ever. Thank you, Spencer, for being so supportive of everything We Are LA Tech. We will be seeing you soon at the Mixer in San Francisco. We're uniting LA Tech entrepreneurs in SF because why not? And we're talking about our conversation right now is how to gain PR for your startup, and really the Silver Telegram understands how to do that. Ranjini came from a really big fancy PR firm where they were charging like millions of dollars for a campaign. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea. She had heart and soul and said, I want to like support the startup. And so she became a startup herself to lend her experience working with $1 million company. I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You get the idea. You get the idea. No, really, I had a partnership with a really big marketing company years ago, and their entry rate to have them do the campaign was something like $50,000 a month or something, Yeah. I mean, it's really, really expensive when you're talking about the Nikes of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really hard to compete without that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of times, the biggest issue or the biggest kind of goof that I see startups do is get PR too early, and they are not ready. And that's where you can waste a lot of your money, and that startups don't have a lot of money. You've got to preserve every dollar. So really you have to come up with your mission and your vision of where you see yourself going first before you can pursue even hiring a consultant or an agency. Totally. You have to really know what you want to accomplish and make it very goal oriented.
One thing I found that helps me, I mean, from a PR strategy, I think it would help too, but even in just defining who your customer is writing out what my company culture is. And then is that person that I'm talking to or that PR, the journalist, are they in alignment with my company culture? Is this describing what I want out of my company culture? Things even if it's we meet all deadlines,
right.
Whatever the company culture is, that if the person doesn't have your company culture, then it's not going to be the right fit, or how that article should be poised to match your company culture. Spencer has a question for us. From your experience, when is the right time to do a PR push? How soon is too soon? Is there such a thing as too late?
Too late is after your competitors release something very similar. Too soon, I mean, there is too soon. If you're not, you need to have a full baked story. So make sure you have a really solid story. Make sure you have your key differentiators. I mean, if you have a really good investor pitch lined up, I would use that as your base for a media pitch. I mean, that's what the media is going to be interested in too. The same thing that you would pitch to your investors is really a good solid starting point for media, because it's really almost the same thing, except that media doesn't need your financial information. But I definitely would wait until you have it fully baked, and then just don't ponder on it too long. However, you do need to give media about 2 to 3 weeks before you do anything. So don't think that you're going to reach out to someone, they're going to respond to you right away. It sometimes takes us months to get a hold of somebody. So I would really plan, at least to be safe, 3 to 4 weeks in advance, and just make sure you're doing your research and make sure you have a conversation with these people. They're human too. So just have an open conversation. Tell them why what you're doing is important, why it's different. If you have competitors, don't ignore them, acknowledge them, and tell people why you're better, pretty much.
And not to make your emails too long.
Oh, yeah. 2 paragraphs max. And then give them a call to action. And then you can add more information if you talk to them later. No.
Yeah, don't put your whole life story all in the first email. And before, you were talking a little bit about vanity press. And Spencer said, great, that totally helps. So thank you for and you were talking about vanity press before. talking about doing something like Good Morning America, which looks like absolutely dynamic, but doesn't actually bring in the customers. Is it important to do vanity press, or if it doesn't really bring in customers, what's the point of vanity press?
That kind of stuff is amazing when you're ready to do brand building, not when you're looking for like what you're doing at the very beginning as a startup. So it's great because it does help get your brand recognized. You can use it on your website usually, except sometimes you have to pay for the logo. So, I mean, there's advantages to it. It's for brand building. It's for people to know your brand as a household name. But if you're looking for consumer adoption or downloads, like straight up like those kind of metrics, then that's not going to get you those metrics that you're looking for.
Great. Thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you and learn more from you and work with you? And what is the starting rate to work with the Silver Telegram so people know when the right time is to get in touch?
You can follow me on Twitter, Ronjini M, RONJINIM, and you can email me at ronjini@thesilvertelegram.com. The way you know that you're ready is you have to have a little bit of money. So you get what you pay for in this industry. If you don't have a lot of money, you're going to get not a lot of hours or not a lot of effort. So our starting rate is $4,000 a month. So it just depends on the campaign.
And people can't do it like a project, or are there certain times where a project works as well, or does it have
It's generally because we're just a traditional kind of billing platform, but we do 3-month projects and then above. So 3, 6, 12,
Got it. Got it. But to stay in touch in the meanwhile, if you're not at that point yet, if you are at that point, go ahead and touch base now. But even if you're not at that point, she's she's super friendly and awesome, and she loves you guys. So definitely it should never stop you from at least engaging in a conversation and forming that relationship. Thank you so much for making time for the We Are LA Tech Blab show.
Thanks.
You're awesome, Ronjini. Look forward to seeing you soon. And for all of you that are going to be joining us in San Francisco to Unite LA Tech Startups, I will see you in person soon as well.